You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And again, shout out to all the everydayers that are with us here on Locked On Sooners every single day. For your second listen, go check out Locked On SEC with our man Chris Gordy. He'll be down there at SEC Media Days like Jay will be, just getting the lay of the landscape, figuring out what's going to happen, hearing all the talking season talk from all the coaches and players. It's going to be a fun week next week. So go check out Locked On Sooners for your first listen, and for your second listen, Locked On SEC with Chris Gordy. Toss-up games for 2024. We'll go through Mike Bratton of that SEC podcast list here in just a second. But Jay, of the 12 games that are on Oklahoma's schedule, which ones might you identify as toss-up games?
So I like to try to be realistic when I come to my predictions, right? If those of you follow me over at Unfair Sports, you know that I'm the few Texas fans that actually watch me on a regular basis say that they like that I'm a football purist, right? I try to be as realistic with a lot of it. And to be honest, I see 3 games that feel like there really are toss-ups that if Oklahoma does what they're supposed to do, if they go out there and execute on all cylinders, they'll win this game. They'll win these games, right? So I have 3 of them. I have Texas as one because it's a rivalry game. We were undefeated on a season, only losing 1 or 2 games, and they were losing 8 games in the season, and we lose to them, right? That happens. It's what the rivalry is. It's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to feel like it's always a dangerous game, regardless of how good or bad said rival is. So Texas is always number 1 on that list. I feel like the Alabama game is going to be a toss-up. I say that because it's the home finale. Alabama coming to us. Kalen DeBoer at that time will probably have added, and we'll understand who he is and what his team's going to look like at that point. They should have some cohesion, so it's going to be a challenge. The last one's going to be LSU, traveling to Death Valley to wrap up the season. It's a good chance. It could be playoff implications if Oklahoma executes and LSU executes as they're supposed to. So that one's going to have a lot of pressure on it. Those are the 3 games I feel like really are toss-up games that I have concerns about, but I have questions about.
Yeah, and I'll go with a couple of the road games that I think could be toss-ups, and that's at Auburn and at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to go into the season as a top 10 team, a playoff contender, one of the teams in college football that's going to benefit the most from the expanded playoff, because now they don't have to get by Georgia and Bama to get to the playoff. They still have access. And that road trip to Jordan-Hurst Stadium, man, that is going to be a very challenging environment, one that you might not have ever seen in a regular season game. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic for Oklahoma. That second SEC game coming off of the emotional week with Tennessee, that first SEC conference game, and then you got to get ready and get back up and go on the road. And that's where we're going to find out, is this team ready for the grind? Are they ready to go week to week to these difficult places and play these challenging teams? So I agree with your list, but yeah, those are 2 that I'd probably throw on the toss-up heap as well. But let's take a look at Mike Bratton from that SEC podcast. He had, of Oklahoma's 12 games, 7 of them as toss-ups. The ones that weren't toss-ups were not. These ones he believes Oklahoma will win. Temple, Houston, Tulane. I think everybody's in agreement there. South Carolina, Maine, of course. So those are your 5 games that they believe will not be toss-ups. Then you're looking at home against Tennessee, at Auburn, against Texas, at Ole Miss, at Missouri, against Alabama at home, and then at LSU. So 7 games on the schedule that could be coin flips. And listen, I don't necessarily disagree, because those are going to be really difficult games for a variety of reasons. I know we want to easily dump on Mizzou, and Oklahoma should beat Missouri, but Brady Cook is really good. Luther Burden is really good. Theo Weiss, when he is at his best, can be really, really good. So that Mizzou team isn't to be slept on. They can put up some points in a hurry if you're not careful. And as we saw with Rashad Owens from Oklahoma State, a big, strong, physical receiver could give Oklahoma some fits. And so those 7 games being toss-ups, I think you can look at each one of those and be like, I mean, I could see it.
It's a fair point. Like, and seeing what Mike said, this is one thing I give the SEC Mike on this, is he said, I don't see a game that the Sooners can't win. Right. Which to me is it's a good first step, right? It's a good first step in the respect aspect of recognizing that, no, Oklahoma's not a doormat. We're going to go in there. We're going to challenge everybody. And so him stating that there's not a game on there that we can't win tells me there's an opportunity to, there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity for Oklahoma to be successful throughout the year. And so I did think it was funny that all of the games, except for the one where everyone considers the coach really on a hot seat, they made as toss-up. So every single SEC game is a toss-up. So it's not that we can't win them. It's also an opportunity we possibly could lose them as well. I would have eliminated that down. I mean, I would have probably gone down to 5 and added the 2 games you mentioned, add Auburn, just because it's on the road, even though I don't think Auburn's there yet. I need them. They're going to probably need another year with Hugh Freeze cleaning things up. And Ole Miss on the road, of course, is going to be a challenge because it's Ole Miss. I don't trust Lane Kiffin. I still don't. But at the same time, he still has those moments where, things happen. But I don't see a loss to Tennessee. I don't see us losing to Missouri. I feel like we probably could toss Auburn in there. It's a toss-up, but I don't think Tennessee or Missouri is going to be too much of an issue right now for us, even with how good their offensive players are. They had a lot of, change on the defensive side. And yes, they did pick up that running back from Georgia State. Still got to see what he can do there in their system. If they would have got like a Dylan Edwards, then I probably would have been like, okay, I'm a little terrified. But they didn't do that. But we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, no, I like the fact that he does believe that there's not a single game that we can't win.
And I'm an optimist. Yeah, and sometimes I drink the Kool-Aid. It's a hot summer day in Oklahoma. You need something refreshing. You grab your crimson pitcher with the Kool-Aid man on the glass, and you drink it sometimes. And I don't disagree. I sit there and I look at this schedule, and yes, it's tough, but I just believe in the talent that Oklahoma's acquired and built on their depth chart. Does that mean that they're going to go undefeated? Probably not. Could they win 10 games? Absolutely. 10 games is well within the realm of possibilities for this team. Could they fall to 7-5?
Yep.
Possibly. The range of possibilities for Oklahoma's 2024 season is broad.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to break down about the schedule as we get closer to the 2024 season. And I'll let you add another thought on this after we break here in a second, Jay, before we talk about Greg McElroy's top 25 for 2024, because I do want to hear one last word from you on this. But I think there's just so many ways that this can go, this whole season could go. And that's why I loved your point the other day that was like, let's just have some fun.